Something strange is going on in Houston. The Texans have had a monster offseason, but it feels like something's missing. Today, we'll break down the Texans' new and improved roster, the strengths, the weaknesses, even a record prediction. We'll cover it all, including a new offense for CJ Stroud and the boys. There's a lot to talk about, but first things first, let me know your thoughts on Nick Caserio and the offseason so far. It's been pretty wild. How do you feel about the Tunsil move? I think everything for Caserio, he just shows that he's got a plan, so let's jump right into it. But first things first, if you're new, hit that sub button. 94% of you are not subscribed watching, and I honestly just really appreciate all the support, all the comments about the team in the future. It's just been a blast to just get to talk to the community and get a gauge about where all the fans are from this standpoint. Because I really do think that the outside of Texans fans, people are making a big deal about how terrible this offensive line is, and that really isn't that bad. First thing I want to get to is the offensive line. But first, hit the sub button. The thing I can't stand about people with this is you look at this right here. 32nd in the league. PFF came out with a new, right after free agency. They were like, okay, let's rank the 32 best offensive lines in football. The Texans get an F and are last in the NFL. It makes zero sense to me because why does that make any sense? You got rid of Tunsil, who was a locker room problem. He didn't do a lot. He had 19 penalties last year. Yes, you didn't bring in the best guys to replace him, but you brought in Cam Robinson, you brought in Trent Brown, you brought in Laken Tomlinson, you brought in a few guys, right? So I would not be surprised if this offensive line is above par next year and is a solid average offensive line. First things first, we didn't even get to the draft yet, right? We have so many other things that they can do in the draft. You got wide receiver is a need. Running back is a need. You got another offensive lineman they'll probably draft as well. So let's take a look at the team right now because it honestly is pretty good. And I'm so just pumped for what Nick Caserio has built for this new team. You fired your offensive coordinator in Bobby Slowick, who had a very bad time with play calling last year in these long developing plays that I'm sure us Texans fans can relate to. Comment down below if Slowick was the problem or if it was just a down year for Stroud, because the production from the first year to the second year for CJ Stroud, the second year was mildly a sophomore slump. But historically, his sophomore slumps don't happen to quarterbacks. They continue to play good. They're excellence, right? But last year was a run-first team. You had a bunch of problems with just trying to get good, dominant, drives going. You couldn't do anything if you were the Texans last year. Third and fourth down efficiency was terrible. So you bring in a new guy, Nick Caley. You're bringing Christian Kirk because you don't have any wide receivers. That was a big problem last year. Diggs got hurt. Dell got hurt. Collins was out for a while. And then the offensive line was banged up as well, but it doesn't help when you have Shaq Mason giving up double-digit sacks. So last year was a disaster. So I don't know how you could say that this is the 32nd worst offensive line in the league when it can't get any worse than last year. Last year was so bad. Now you can build up a little more chemistry with a couple more guys. Now you have a new and improved offensive line heading into next season. Cam Robinson, left tackle. Laken Tomlinson, Jarrett Patterson, Titus Howard, and Trent Brown. I don't know why Howard is a tackle, but he's going to move the guard. The whole point of what I'm getting to is this is a good Texans team. And for how much they were hyped up last year, this is going to be a better season. And I'm confident that this team can go far into the playoffs. It's all a matter of what they do in the draft, and that's what I'm getting to. First things first, let's take a look at the defense. Will Anderson got extended, or not Will Anderson. Derek Stingley got extended. He got a big contract. They traded for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That was a good move. Signed Sheldon Rankins. He's a great scheme fit for DeMeco Ryan. This team is looking incredible. All around, great work from Nick Caserio. At this point in time, you're looking ahead to the NFL draft. What do the Texans need? And right now, going back to the depth chart, the biggest need is wide receiver. Yes, you got Christian Kirk. I love how the wide receiving core is looking. You got some depth pieces in Braxton Berrios and Justin Watson. But are those guys really going to be game changers, right? Who do you get in the draft? Do you trade up for Emeka Ibuka? Do you go get Matthew Golden in the first round? You still need a tackle. Do you go get Josh Simmons? Do you go get Donovan Jackson? A lot of questions. First things first, I don't know what this mock draft is, but why would the Texans draft a tight end? Yes, Tyler Warren's great. He has amazing abilities to get the ball, jump ball receiver. You put Tyler Warren at receiver? No, you don't need a tight end. You have Dalton Schultz. You have Cade Stover. Go draft a wide receiver. I don't care if it's Tez Johnson available. You don't draft Tyler Warren just because he's the biggest weapon of need. Yes, a tight end would be great, especially for Warren's caliber of a player. First of all, I don't even think he drops to 25, so that's just not making sense to me. But this mock draft in particular, I'm actually a pretty big fan of. Donovan Jackson, 25th overall, a little bit of a reach, but I can deal with it. You get Jalen Royals in the 3rd round. I don't mind that either. But I think what's going to happen is the Texans are probably going to trade back, take Donovan Jackson, middle of the 2nd round, maybe 33, 34, maybe not middle, but they're going to take him around there if Emeka Egbuka or Matthew Golden are not available. Their first thought is going to be receiver. And then it's going to look to tackle, right? You need to tackle badly because Cam Robinson and Trent Brown are not the long-term answer. Laken Tomlinson is also not the long-term answer. Titus Howard, maybe his future might not be certain with the team. But you do have some actual players that can be transitional in terms of their young caliber player. Blake Fisher, the right tackle, who can get some depth. He can be a potential long-term answer because of his young ability to play. He started last year, so let him sit behind a veteran, have that happen. You have Juice Scruggs, who could play guard, he could play center. Have him sit behind Tomlinson for a year. And Titus Howard, that's fine. You still have some problems on the offensive line. When looking at the Texans' draft picks, you got a few. Pretty good. 4 picks in the first 89. That's really good. 25th, they might consider trading back if they don't get the receiver they're looking for, but Donovan Jackson could be in play. I don't like the idea of going after Josh Simmons just because of the injury that he's coming off of. Very good tackle presence. A couple people described him as Alarmy Tunsil, but the whole reason I like going back to Harrison or Simmons and Jackson is because they played with CJ Stroud. So that chemistry is going to be there, I feel like. When you look at the future in terms of what does this team do after the draft, you're probably most likely in the first 3 rounds, you're going to get one of the following. At least a wide receiver. I don't know if it's Matthew Golden. I don't know if it's Tez Johnson. I don't know if it's Emeka Egbuka. I would love for it to be Emeka Egbuka, and you can get Donovan Jackson in the 2nd round. That would be the biggest success, is if the Texans get Emeka Egbuka and Donovan Jackson. That would be incredible. Not likely to happen, but they'll probably take a tackle at 25, whether it's an Ohio State tackle, a Texas tackle, a Minnesota tackle. I don't care. Take a tackle. Then the next pick, wide receiver. You go get a Royals. You go get somebody that can play a position of wide receiver. You need depth at that position. After the draft, this is what we're looking at. It's a little bit blurry, but if you can't see it, let's go full screen, actually. The Texans' schedule is honestly not that bad. The 2 hardest opponents, probably the Ravens. It's going to be hard regardless because they are first place in the South. But looking at the Ravens, this is not in order, by the way. This is just an idea of who they're going to play. The schedules don't drop until a couple months. But the Ravens, very doable game. We'll say they lose that game. They'll go split. They'll go 3-3 in the NFC South. Or the AFC South. I don't know why I said NFC. AFC South, they'll go 3-3. They don't beat the Ravens. They don't beat the Broncos. They'll beat the Raiders. Cardinals game, the toughest opponents are going to be the Niners. The Bills are going to be a tough one. I think they could steal one on the Bucks. They could definitely beat the Chargers. Chiefs is going to be a tough game. Rams, Seahawks, that'll be a good one. But I'm looking at least 9 wins for the Texans. It might be a little bit of a struggle, but from what we saw last year, 9-7 does not seem like a terrible possibility. When you look at what more can they do, I'm expecting them to beat a team like the Bills. I'm expecting them to beat a team like the Chiefs. I'm expecting them to beat a team like the Broncos. Obviously, you can't just assume wins. This is the NFL. Anything can happen. But looking at the schedule right now, is definitely a lot to look forward to for Houston. But there's definitely a tough schedule right there, right? You play the Baltimore Ravens. You play the Denver Broncos. You play the Niners. You play the Bills. You play the Chiefs. You play the Chargers. You play the Rams, who are a good team. So that's 7 games that are kind of a toss-up. And the Texans were good in toss-up games last year. That was kind of their mojo, was beating the Bills by 1 score. And that was the main problem that I had with the Texans last year. I was so frustrated with how they played in games late. They kind of just rolled over. We're like, yeah, we're winning. They just kind of let the defense, they just did this. You know, the offense was like, we did our job. If we're show up late in the game, they never did. The offense, rarely did you see the Houston Texans offense last year go down and have a game-winning drive. CJ Stroud rarely did that last year. When in you had last year, his first year in the league, he did pretty well at that. Not saying he did game-winning drive every game, but he had the opportunity to go down and kick a field goal to go to overtime. Now it feels like that wasn't a possibility at all last year. With a new offense this year, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see the Texans run the ball 3 times and then punt it back to the other team. That's what Bobby Slowick did. I don't want to see that. I want to see a good conducted offense passing on first or second down, run it on first down, play action on second down, bomb it down the field. Nick Caley was the passing game coordinator for the Rams, and the Rams ran it a lot. I don't mind a run-heavy offense, but don't let C.J. Stroud's talent go to waste. That guy can air the ball out. And when you have a guy like C.J. Stroud and Christian Kirk and Nico Collins who can work well together, Collins is a good deep ball threat. Kirk is a great guy over the middle. That offense should be great. You should be able to construct that to where it looks really, really good. And then you draft another receiver like Golden, Tez Johnson. Kirk he'll work in the slot. Watson will be your 2 for a little while if you don't draft the top receiver in the first round. But overall, I'm a little scared with how the record looks for next season. I'm kind of like, I don't know, this is a scary kind of record. You have 7 teams that are probably winning records next season, that the Texans are a winning team, and if they are a winning team, they should showcase that they can do the good stuff, but that's where the good and the bad comes into play for me. If you see the Texans lose some of these games versus these high-caliber teams, that could be a problem. So I'm a little scared in that aspect as to can they continue to play well versus good teams. It's going to be a great season, but that's my kind of running you guys through the so far of the offseason and what Nick Caserio has been able to do, as well as the draft and looking ahead to next season. There should be a new offense in play. Well, regardless, there is going to be because there's a new offensive coordinator. Smart guy me. But looking at this team, you need another weapon. You got Kirk. Yeah, you need some more depth there. But Stroud, do not let his talent go to waste. Let him throw the ball. Do not let him throw the ball to the corners of the sidelines and it's double covered because that's what Bobby Slowick had him doing. He had all these out routes running around the field. So Nick Caley, just cook something up to where Stroud can feel comfortable, happy, and I don't want to see any growing pains in a first year with an offense. Yes, it's probably going to happen. It's a new offense. I just don't want to see any worse improvement. That's the thing with Caserio, right? Nick Caserio just sculpted this team, and to be completely fair, there's no reason why this team cannot compete next year. There's no reason for it. Stroud has proven that he is a good quarterback. Good is an understatement because I would argue to say that he looked like a veteran quarterback in the first 2 years of his career. He had some struggles last year, but I'm going to blame that on the offensive line not showing up. You have a better offensive line this year than you did last year. Texans fans, back me up. This offensive line is better than it was last year. 1, you have more depth. 2, you have players that actually care. 3, you can draft a player and going into next season. Tunsil was a good move. Get rid of him. Laken Tomlinson was a great move. Veteran play. Put him in. I just don't want to see any Shaq Masons of last year double-digit sacks and just giving up on your quarterback and pretending like you're just there because you want to get paid $10 million a year. I just don't want to see that. So, there's my spiel for the afternoon. Thank you guys for listening. Let me know your comments down below as to what you're looking forward to for this Texans team. You got a lot. You got a lot of picks. You got a lot of draft picks, wide receiver, offensive line. Figure out the offense. Mixon's a beast. Collins is a beast. Stroud is a beast. Get the ball to your receivers. Get the ball to your running back. Figure it out. Still a lot to look forward to. Still a lot to kind of figure out in terms of starting this next season. But I'm liking what I'm seeing. Let me know your comments on the team. What do they need to get better at? Are you scared of the same things I am? Just comment down below what you're thinking. But thank you guys so much for watching. Give me some future ideas in the comments if you would. But maybe we'll do a mock draft next. Who knows? So thank you all for watching once again. And we'll catch you in the next video.